I'm skeptical of anyone who says that they do yoga every day. To me, that seems like a bit of a stretch. What's going on, YouTube? Today we have a fun video for you guys because we're going to be breaking down the event vendors as well as the weekly reset vendors, the Tuesday vendors, the Friday vendors, but also a lot of people don't know that there's some secrets here with these event vendors. So we're going to be breaking down how every single vendor works, timestamps below, with additional information on what items they have, what potentially you should look out for, and how to know if you're getting an actually good deal from it, regardless of the event, time frame, or week that you're looking at. So we first start with Philius Dormier, or probably not the correct pronunciation, but this guy is your event individual who's going to be able to help you get last year's items. He used to give you interesting furnishing items that are now found elsewhere, but what he does do now is even more unique because he gives you access to some fragments that can get you items from yesteryear. So this is the last year's items that people were able to get. So for example, you could get this Daedric skin if you don't have this skin already unlocked. He's a great way to get some new and unique items if you missed out on the last year's event vendors, because usually event vendors have some really cool items, including mounts, houses, skins, things that are really sought after in the Elder Scrolls Online. Anytime I make an event guide, you'll see me breaking down whether or not this bad boy's got anything for you. He's always one you want to keep an eye out for regardless of the event. And he is always located near the Impresario, which you'll find in the majority of the zones at the event exchange. Next we have the Impresario, which always has a unique cycling of items. Usually, if not always, you'll find a brand new set style here and a new style that the developers have added for this specific event. But then there's some other items such as bags of yesteryear. I always break down whether or not you should invest in these. Certain events such as White Strake's Mayhem have some really valuable yesteryear ones, and others essentially are just purely cosmetic, such as things such as mementos, which can be purchased relatively cheaply. You'll also now always seem to find crown items, which are basically a Fighter's Guild, Mage's Guild, or Undaunted commendation. These things I would say are relatively useless. If you don't know how to level up your companion in these things, all you need to do is do these single daily quests. One Mage's Guild daily quest will give you one Mage's Guild level up, which means that just by doing a daily quest, you are saving 3 event tickets. It's never been worth it, in my opinion, to do that, and honestly, whether or not your companions have been leveled up is really not a huge priority, so I generally think it's just not the best use of your event tickets. Next, we're going to break down one of the more confusing aspects in the Elder Scrolls Online, and that is fragments. So fragments is notably one of the most confusing concepts for new players, because if you're me, when I first started playing, it made no sense, and I get quite a few comments about it too, because realistically, the way that it was implemented is a bit cattywampus. But let me break it down for you. So you take 3 fragments and you turn it into this pet, right? That makes sense. These 3 fragments all go into the Malagbal illusion. They all say that. But then if you notice that if you read down here, it says requires Malagbal illusion Daedric imprint to use. And you think that's weird. And that's because you, if you want to get, this is a personality, if you want to get this personality, you have to actually sacrifice your pet, so it's going to be dead. And then you take the 3 fragments, which only 2 of the 3 are out, so you won't actually be able to do this until the next event. Then you'll get the personality. So it's a bit weird. So you basically, it's like evolving a Pokemon, essentially. So you got Squirtle. Your Squirtle is this guy. You get yourself your 3 event tickets, or event fragments. The new one that you need to actually complete this will be in the next event, and that's how you evolve your Squirtle. But you don't have a Squirtle anymore. If you want to go to get another Squirtle, you're going to spend 15 more event tickets to get another Squirtle. It's very cattywampus, unfortunately, so I hope this is being explained okay. Thankfully, everything else on here is usually relatively plain, like furnishings. It's a piece of cake, literally. Then you've got these. I mean, these are fine, but you can usually get a lot of these just by playing the game and logging in. And then sometimes there's some other neat things, like right now there is a event map, which is cool. But generally, we break down the entirety of the ticket vendor here, because there could sometimes be some unique items. and things to really look out for. And now that you've learned about the evolution of Pokemon, be ready to learn about the evolution of Indrakes, because it is a very similar concept. A lot of people thought that Indrakes were gone for forever, but in fact, they're still alive and well inside of Craglorn over in the event area. There's actually quite a few empty stalls that I'm wondering if they will slowly fill over time with previous event stuff. But for right now, you can go in and you can get different Indrakes, and you can combine their berries with the base fragments to evolve your Squirtle into a mount. It's really just that simple. I will note that there are some things to consider, such as the berries that you will see and the potential Indrakes that you are able to get are actually dependent upon the time of year. Therefore, they're tied to specific events. So this is only active when a normal ESO event is active. What does that mean? So things like Mid-Year Mayhem is an ESO event. Any event that gives you event tickets is an ESO event in the traditional sense. But things like Battlegrounds weekends, those little free quick 2 times XP events when they make a mistake for something, those are not necessarily an event. You have to be able to get event tickets for you to be able to see this vendor. And when you have this vendor, depending on the time of year it is, will then have different types of berries. Whenever ESO releases their full event details, at the very bottom, it will have which Indrake berries are in season. And because we never ever talk about Zanil's ability to be in Craglorn, really, because it's just kind of a confusing addition, Zanil, our luxury furnishing vendor who we talk about every single Friday, is also in Craglorn in this same area. Now, everything here is exactly the same that we talked about this Friday if you watched the previous Golden Vendor video. And overall, it's kind of confusing that he exists in 2 places because, as of course, you can also find him inside the Hollow City, inside of Cold Harbor. The reason we always like to talk about Zanil, in my opinion, is that he has housing furnishing items. Now, a lot of times people might think that furnishing is just a very niche portion of the game. And you can look at that and you can agree with it, but what I would tell you is that these items might not be back for years. So the items that you see on any weekly video that I do are potentially exceptionally exclusive. And there are some absolutely exceptionally valuable ones on there, which is why I like to cover them every Friday. Because yes, the other Golden Vendor is a bit more flashy of our other Friday vendors, but when it comes to potentially rare items, you cannot sleep on the luxury furnishing vendor, and that's why we love to talk about him. The time frame for our favorite vendor here, if you're me at least, is at midnight GMT time on Friday, and then noon GMT time is when they leave on Monday. That's going to be the same with our second of 2 vendors here. And that segues perfectly into the Golden Vendor, or as she has normally called, the Golden, because I refuse to say that name on her. You're going to be able to find her at your Cyrodiilic starter areas. I'm going to show you guys here on a map a bit of a more conducive area for you depending on your alliance, because it will depend. And this Golden Vendor is exceptionally useful for finding great deals on monster sets as well as golden gear. Inside the vendor, you're going to find an assortment of either gold rings or necklaces and either monster set shoulders and or helmets. Every single overland set in the game is eligible to be spawned inside of the golden, as well as every single dungeon set. The only thing that you're not really going to find in here is trial sets, and that goes same for the shoulders here. However, there's an additional twist here because monster set shoulders as well as helmets can also be found from the Imperial City vendor, which also has monster set shoulders as well as helmets that you can purchase. So when it comes to the Golden Vendor, this used to be the only way that you could upgrade your jewelry. And now that the Golden has existed in a time period where you can upgrade jewelry materials, it has lowered in value. And now with jewelry rework, everybody can upgrade jewelry for a pretty cheap price. So now when you're looking at investing in the Golden Vendor, what I would suggest is look at the necessity for you as a player. Is it essential for you to have this set in a golden version? So if you're watching my videos, you'll see in some of the conversations I have, I will note things. You know, for example, perfect example here. When you use a light attack, you reduce the health and magic and stamina cost of your next ability cast within 2 seconds by 10%. That 10% is not affected by whether or not this is a gold necklace or a white necklace. Now, obviously, it's better to have a higher level one, but if you're going to make the jump from purple to gold, how much value are you truly getting for your money? So we always evaluate that when we talk about the vendor every Friday, which makes the videos just a tiny bit longer, because it's always important to note not just how good a set is, but also, is it worth upgrading? But then two, how is it normally located? For example, you may remember my example of why a specific set was really good, and that was from Hrothgar. Hrothgar, you may notice, has no dolmens. It's got no world events. Therefore, the only way that you can get the jewelry from Hrothgar is by opening chests, and opening chests sucks. Therefore, when you see a ring just thrown in your face, like, hey, buddy boo, instead of having to pay for a purple, which even the purples there are pretty expensive, buy me a gold. And then if you want, you can also resell these items. Any overland set is able to be resold, as well as any set that comes from an overland DLC area. However, if it's a dungeon set, whether or not the base game or DLC dungeon, it is not able to be resold. When it comes to the monster set shoulders as well as helmets, important considerations are as follows. When it comes to helmet, don't you just farm the dungeon yourself? Anyone that completes a veteran dungeon and kills the final boss gets a veteran helmet. So why not just do that dungeon? Now the answer could be because it's relatively hard, a lot of people aren't farming it, or so on and so on, but that's something to keep in mind. For shoulders, it just boils down to how good is the set versus are you just willing to throw some keys out there and see if you need it. As Undaunted keys are an exceptionally valuable resource that you just don't want to give away all wimbly-bimbly, because at the end of the day, they're probably the hardest currency to get in a fast basis, especially compared to Telvar, Alliance points, gold. Undaunted keys really are more annoying to get. And then inside the Infinite Archive, we have Filer Ul, who is a Tuesday through Tuesday vendor. Also, bit of a confusion here. This is technically a base game area. Yes, it's an Apocrypha, but you can go here at any point. Now, Filer Ul is unique because he takes archival fortunes, and he gives a wide range of stuff, including antiquity leads, which can be to exceptionally annoying mythics, or completely useless tapestries. He can give you access to collectibles, such as really rare style pages, or exceptionally cheap style pages. Important to note here, obviously you can't sell leads, but you cannot sell these style pages either, which means that the value that you get from them is just like if you're using them. You know, it's like if I gift you a Louis Vuitton handbag and you can never re-gift it or get rid of it, you can't resell it, what value does that have to you? That's what you need to consider when you look at these, because some of the most valuable items in the game are these style pages. But if you're not going to use it, is it as valuable to you? So keep that in the back of your head. Then we have treasure maps, which you could use to convert to differing areas and differing resources to sell out to other people, but it's going to be on a rotating basis of zones. And from there, you might think, Southern Elsewhere, and we talk about this in our Tuesday vendor videos, is that really the one that I want to dump my archival fortunes in? Then we have heavy equipment, and this will be any random companion gear piece, and I will always break down whether or not I think it's risky enough for you to buy these, because companion gear is another one of the most expensive things in the game to try to go out and get, because people love their companions. However, these are bound, so you need to make sure that you get what you want. Then we have some furnishings, which are generally books, because, well, look around you in the Infinite Archive. And then we have random trophies. Now, these can be any rune boxes or things. You'll also see sometimes here clues to upgraded cards. This is not Magic the Gathering. I do not think it's worth upgrading your deck. And then you'll find all sorts of unique things, such as mirror mazes, which can give you access to face marks. A lot of people dislike face marks and body markings. I will just give you a quick note. You can combine body markings and skins to usually create some interesting color patterns. I'm not saying it's necessarily something that you should invest in, but a lot of people sleep on that color combination, so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there for you guys. But dear friends, that's going to wrap up the video. Those are the primary rotating vendors. There are a couple other unique ones, such as certain events will have unique vendors that you can buy pretty garbage items off of them. If you guys are ever interested in a kind of all the secret vendors in ESO, I do have that video already created so you can see how they all operate. But I wanted to break down the main ones here because a lot of times people don't know how either they work, that they exist or what really you should be looking out for. And as always, do whatever is best for you as an ESO player. If you don't want to farm a specific dungeon, don't let people guilt you into thinking that you need to save 100,000 gold. If you want to go buy Battle Orcs because you don't want to farm it, which is the #1 most requested helmet when I asked you guys in the comments what you look out for, go out and buy it. There's no shame in anything. Use your resources to enhance your gameplay the way you want to, not how somebody else tells you to. So thank you guys so much again for watching. We're still doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed. Just stay subscribed and you'll be entered. Second thing is just leave a comment in the comments below. The question of the day is there anything specific that you want me to stream tomorrow? So we're going to do a poll between PvP as well as our Trapped and Stros Mackay series. It was a very heated poll last time. It was only a 3% difference when I looked at it before we went live. So it's a very close poll. We'll post it again, but I'm always looking for new ideas to kind of shake things up. And then the third thing is a random Amazon gift card code to be linked in a video. I always hide it somewhere in there for you. Might have a little piece of text like go check out my Twitter at a specific time. Head on over to Discord, check the description. We always make sure we hide one in there. Give back to the people who watch the videos, even if they might know everything, because you guys are awesome. Even if you know everything in this video, you guys leave great comments. You guys help other people in the comments by telling them and giving them great information and helping answering those questions. So thank you guys. Shout out to you, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.